welcome, Gokul. In an examination that people barely want to pass, you have managed to secure an All India rank 1, right? And hearty congratulations from KS Academy and my side as well. So what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I was surprised in the beginning. I thought I would get a rank, but not the All India rank 1. I was very happy. When the ICA president actually called me, I did not believe. I asked him twice whether I actually got All India rank 1. I was happy after that.
That's great. That's great. So it looks like you already had a plan of getting an AIR. Okay. What was your parents' reaction when they saw the AIR?
Well, they were surprised that I got an AR1. Like, they were really happy. They called all my relatives, everyone.
Oh, sure. So
They
I
were
think
on
that would
cloud
be a
9.
great moment that you would cherish for your entire life. Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So how has your 8 months of preparation for the CA intermediate been like?
8 months, like the 4 months, the last 4 months were really hard. Like, I had to push myself to the end. But when it comes to a course like CA, there should be consistency from the very beginning, and you should start early. I started my preparation at July 15th or so. So when you start early, you're not weak at the end, because you have time to multiple revisions, which is required in a course like CA.
As you said very well, you need to have consistency and you need to begin from the day one. The energy that you had, you need to have it till the end of the preparation. And the most exciting thing for me about your journey is that you've attended all the classes in the online mode, right? You've never been to the face-to-face classes, but still managed to get an AIR, which proves that it actually doesn't matter where you are, right? It's just the effort that individual candidates put. It really doesn't matter if you're into face-to-face or online. But how has online learning been to you? It's completely new for, I'm sure, a lot of students post-COVID, but how has the online intermediate preparation been for you?
The main advantage about online is you don't have to travel, because most of the time is lost in traveling from your home to the coaching institute. When you're in online mode, you can study till 7 o'clock. At 7, you can again begin your classes. After it ends, you can take 10 minutes break and then again begin your preparation. And it is not the traveling time. It does not interrupt your preparation. You're always in the mood to study.
Correct, exactly, right? So traveling is something that you can save upon when you are in the online mode. But what about doubts? Whenever you had doubts or you had something that you want to clarify from the faculty. So if you are into the face-to-face mode, you directly go after the class, right? But how did KS help you with that?
Like the live meetings were in Zoom meetings. So when I always had a doubt, I gave a message in the chat box. They replied instantly, ma'am. So they always checked the messages while the class was going on too.
Oh, okay. That's great.
And also after the classes, they also provided you forms to fill if you had any doubts, ma'am.
Okay. So you had a live doubt solving session as well as you had these forms that the faculties would afterward revert back. Okay, that's great. That's great. So just tell me that how much of a revision, how many times did you revise the entire syllabus before going for the actual examination?
3 times, ma'am.
3 times.
Yes.
That's great. So you were able to complete the entire classes and then have a 3 full-fledged revision. And this was within a span of 8 months, right?
The first revision, when it came to the first revision, I completed about 80% of my syllabus. Then I began my revision along with my preparation, ma'am. Okay. So when my first revision ended, then I completed 100% of my syllabus. It was only in second and third that I completed 100% again and again.
Okay. And when it comes to, let's break down now subject-wise, so that I'm sure a lot of students who are watching this for their upcoming examination, it will be helpful, right? So beginning with accountancy papers like accountancy, costing, and FM, where it's a practical approach, what was your strategy to prepare those papers?
My strategy, of course, was conceptual understanding of the subjects, because costing and FM require a lot of conceptual understanding, which we learned from the recent paper. And for accounts and advanced accounts, they're easy. But you should understand the concepts, and also you should practice instead of just auditing the sums. Yes, ma'am.
That would be. You shouldn't be auditing, right? You will have to do that after you clear your final. So you should actually be working out sums. Correct. Yes. So how many MTPs or RTPs did you actually solve? Was it just your attempts or you also tried the previous attempts?
Of course, the previous attempts too, ma'am. I did about 2 years MTPs and 4 years RTPs and past year, the entire past year papers. And when you're actually feeling bored, you can just...
When it came...
Yes. When I was actually feeling bored, I used to open any question paper, random question paper. I used to select a question and do it so that it activates your brain kind of thing.
Correct, correct. And when it comes to theory papers, especially like EIS and SM, your next batch, your buddies are the last people who are going to be experiencing this, right? So what is your advice for that paper? That's one paper that really kind of frightens people in CA intermediate, right? So what's your advice?
Well, the reason, what I believe is the reason why people feel that EIS SM is hard is because they're reading it in group 2. So they don't get enough preparation for group 2 and revision 2. So when you start EIS early, you'll be able to revise it multiple number of times. And for subjects like EIS, don't try to read the whole book, because for chapter 3 and kind of things, the side headings are enough to get good marks actually.
Correct, precisely. And what about when it comes to law, right? Did you like quote all these sections, subsections? What was it like? What was your
The first time I was also watching interview of AR once. So when I was watching their interviews, they were like, I quoted every question, section number. I was like, how did they quote that? But when you go through multiple revisions, you will automatically understand the this is the section number. And when you start reading, just read the section number before and then read the provision so that you will remember the section number.
Exactly. So that was your strategy. That's something that I always tell my students at class as well. So yes, you can't really memorize, and that never works. You just have to make it a process in your learning itself. And let me know, we are all eager to know, how did the KSA SAP that we have, the speed, accuracy, and presentation examination really help you, right? That's a 3-month model exams that we conduct. So did you align your timetable, your revision timetables with that, or was it completely different?
The first 2 months when it began, ma'am, I did not align my revision timetable to that. It was only in the last month that I aligned my revision timetable because I wanted to test myself how good I am without preparing so that I will know the areas of my weakness. In the last month, when it came to the entire syllabus papers, I prepared as per that so that it would be helpful when I was actually preparing for the 1.5 days.
Okay, that's great. And a lot of students, when they begin their journey, right, after foundation, intermediate, they are kind of really excited, right? But that excitement kind of sticks on only for the first 2 months, right? And as the syllabus starts increasing, you start your group 2 preparations as well, it kind of comes down. So what made you or kept you motivated throughout this entire 8 months of your journey?
Just like Saravanan sir tells, start enjoying the subjects rather than reading it like an obligation. When you enjoy the subjects, you like to read it more. So when you start enjoying the subjects, you will automatically maintain that things. But it is not easy to maintain that consistency throughout the excitement levels because there are subjects like order to yes where you feel low, but this is the beauty of this course.
Of course, exactly, right? It's all the ups and downs that makes it even more special when you get your results. Absolutely. And tell me about your exam. More than preparing, I think the 16 days, 8 papers and 16 days that you have to consequently face the exams, that's one of the most toughest part, right? Because even if you did not do in an exam pretty well, you don't have time to feel about it, right? You need to buck up and start preparing for the next. So how were the 16 days of examination for you?
The first day of exam, accounts exam, I was new to exams. Like it was actually a year or so that I physically appeared for an exam. So I was nervous in the beginning. I actually signed for the next papers thing, but I got it. And I used to check the answers after I wrote my papers, like the same day. But I wouldn't recommend that. But I was a little more excited to know how did I actually write. Since it was for me, I wrote it pretty well. That motivated me to write the next exam even more better.
Great, great, great. And let's come to one paper that all of these students wants to ask, how did you prepare? And that's taxation, right? So it has
Yeah.
2 humongous areas, direct and indirect tax. How did you manage your time in this paper?
When it came to taxation paper, ma'am, I was nervous. I was the most challenging paper even for me was taxation. But I realized taxation was a little difficult from the very beginning because it had various provisions and GST too. So I started allocating at least 1 hour of my day every day from the beginning of the 4 months. So when you start preparing for taxation from the very beginning, very well, like you should understand that it is a voluminous subject. So you will understand. You should keep revising the provisions so that you don't forget the provisions. Yes.
Exactly. So that's what your this was. That's fantastic. And let me ask you one more follow-up question. Like for all your juniors, there's one thing that you would say that they need to carry with themselves for their CA preparation, what would that be? One strategy, one attitude, what would that be?
Towards hardworking, that's what everyone says. Hardworking along with consistency.
Consistency, excellent. And also one more curious question that all of us have to ask you is that we are filled with a world of entertainment, right? So right now today, if you tell, like my mom keeps telling me that, in our days it was like this, we used to study 10 hours. I'm like, Mom, you did not have any distraction at that time. Right now you have Netflix, Prime, you can go out, chill with your friends. So in this world of distraction, to prepare for a course like CA that requires humongous dedication, what was during the 8 months of preparation, were you away from Instagram or mobile phones? What was it like?
I did not have Instagram from the very beginning. I did not even have an account on Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
I used to surf on YouTube only mostly for entertainment. Yes, ma'am. Like I isolated myself for 8 months. I did not speak to anyone. It was only very rarely that I spoke to my friends, but I used to maintain contacts too. I used to watch movies, little movies, web series too. It was only in the beginning months, but after that, you slowly understand the volume of the subject and you start slowing them down. You should realize that early.
Okay. So don't worry about that you do not have Instagram. Today, all of us are searching for you on Instagram and Google, right? So I think it was worth not using it, right? So again, one more, we have a lot of questions to ask you, but since we have a lot of less time, we'll just squeeze it in a little bit. When it comes to paper presentation, what was it like for you? Did you already view at, did you already see some previous toppers answer sheets, and did you have a predetermined model of how you're going to present it, or how was it like?
Like when it came to paper presentations, ma'am, I used to check certified copies of previous year rankers. For example, I used to check Ankush Shirmer on YouTube. He uploaded all of his entire 8 papers. He was an All India rank 5. So I used to refer how did he write, how did he underline everything and audit. For example, when it comes to paper presentation, audit is the most important paper where you need to present the paper well. Because when you underline those keywords, the paper checker would grasp the attention of examiner would be grasped towards that keywords.
Keywords much quickly, yes. And when it comes to paper like law, audit, or EIS and SM especially, it's really not possible to revise the entire ISM before the day of examination. So did you have your own some drone charts or any kind of notes or materials that you had made during your preparation that kind of helped you during the 1.5 days?
I used to refer to ICISM during my preparation. So when I used to refer to ICISM, I used to draw down charts or any kind of shortcuts for EISSM at the beginning of the page. So I used to refer that before the exam. That helped me to revise a little more efficiently.
Okay, so you had charts that you had already made. That's great. Okay. And once you wrote these SAP examinations, so we see a lot of students when they begin the SAP examination, they are full of josh. But as they start getting the marks or the verified copies, and the marks aren't really what they expected, they start getting demotivated, right? But what did you learn from your model exams that you wrote or the SAP examinations that you wrote at KS?
The one thing I would say is expectations are the main causes of disappointments. So don't expect anything. Of course, dream big. Like expect good marks, but work hard. Don't expect right. So when you work hard, the end results are always good. Just like I mentioned, the process is very important to get the results good. So maintain that positive attitude. Yes, ma'am.
And keep going. Yes. So one more attitude that we see in a lot of toppers, they really don't share their secrets, right? So did you have your friends who helped you in this journey? Like, would you people call and discuss, about amendments or things like that? Or it was just you and your preparation?
I used to refer to YouTube channels for amendments. Okay. My friends were appearing for November exam. So I really did not have much connection. It was only for motivation that I used to call them once or twice a month.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So we would love to hear your experience at KS as such, since of course we did not have, you did not have the opportunity to attend the face-to-face classes, but you had done the entire course online, right? So how has your experience here been like?
Like KS Academy has the best faculties I've ever seen. For example, when it comes to accounts, Chaitanya sir and Saravanan sir rock sir, and costing and FM, Shankaraman sir taught us. He was very great. He teaches us concepts very slowly so that everyone understands in the class. And also taxation, Tarunraj sir and Prasad sir helped me. And the other faculties were also very great. I'm grateful to each and every faculty at KS Academy for providing me this opportunity to read well. And also after the classes, they keep asking if there's any doubts, please ask us. That was very good for from KS Academy that I've seen that I don't usually see in other institutions.
I think we are really privileged to have students like you in our academy, and it was wonderful sharing your experiences as well. So I'm going to quickly, again, I'm going to not take much of your time, squeeze in a couple of questions. Right? Okay, so what would be your advice to the students who couldn't clear in this attempt, right? So we had, of course, a lot of students were cleared, but other students who did not clear, what would be your one advice to them? You know, what they should carry for the next attempt?
Of course, they need to learn from their mistakes rather than being disappointed. Learn from the mistakes. It is not an easy course. It is okay if you fail, but try passing for the next attempt. It is always good in the next attempt. So don't worry.
So you don't have to give hope. You don't have to lose hope and keep going, right? So that's how life is. Okay. So again, very curious for me as such, like what was your 1.5 day before exam preparation like? Because that's where a lot of students get stuck, right? They do a fabulous preparation for the 8 months, but when it comes to what exactly to revise before exam, we kind of screw up. So what was your strategy like? Did you plan this 1.5 day before itself?
Yes, ma'am. I was like, just like I mentioned for theory subjects like auditing or EIS, I used to prepare acronyms and used to refer to those acronyms before the exam. For practical subjects, I used to audit the questions before the exam. And for papers like income tax, it is very difficult to revise it before the exam. That was one of the most important paper that you need to revise the whole thing before the exam, which is very difficult. So I used to refer to those short provisions which our sir used to prepare, Prasad sir. That was a very small material, but it had the entire material in it. Yes.
So you had your own material as well as the faculty materials. You kind of club them and use it wisely for your preparation before examination.
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's really great to hear. And one more important question that I have to ask you is, which was the most easiest subject you felt in the entire 8 subjects that you had for G1 and G2, and which was the most difficult or tricky paper that you felt?
The most easiest paper would be accounts. Like I did not allocate most of my times towards accounts. Since I had great faculty along with the subject being easy, I enjoyed accounts. I felt it easy, but one of the most difficult paper I felt was income tax, ma'am, because of the various provisions in it. But I was able to enjoy the subjects after revising it for 2 months. The next 2 months, I felt it enjoy because those overlapping sections, I loved it afterwards. Because when you allocate more of your time towards subjects like income tax, you start loving that subject.
Great. Great. It's about allocation. It's about the natural connection that you have with the subject. Right? Once you start understanding concepts, you will love no matter what subject it is, like theory or practical, right? So what would you recommend students to spend more time on a practical paper or more on theory? What should I basically do? Like one input that I got from you with our conversation was something that to begin theory papers at the very beginning so that you have maximum time to revise it like you had done wisely for EIS and SM. What else do you feel? Should I give more time to a theory paper or a practical one?
First, the theory paper, because you need theory papers are really huge in CA course. So allocate most of your time, not most, but don't forget to revise practical papers too. But conceptual understanding of practical papers is easy, but theoretical papers you need to understand it and write it for provisions like law provisions in law. You need to actually remember the provisions because ICA always has the tricky exceptions of the exceptions. So you need to allocate about 2/3 of your time to theory papers and 1/3 is enough for practical, I believe.
It's enough for practical, right? So you, as you had said me, you had attended only the last 2 to 3 years of RTP, right? So like everybody says, go forward and solve the past 10 years and from there only paper is going to get picked. That's really not, that's actually a myth. What do you think about that? Or was it the same with your case or did you have a different experience?
ICA always maintains its quality. It always tests the concepts, not the ability of the student to refer to past papers. It always tests the concepts of the student. So it does not, it always, for theory papers, sometimes they may ask from the past years and RTPs, but for practical papers, it is always the conceptual knowledge. But solving past papers and RTPs helps you understand where you are and where are your areas of improvements are, where you should improve. But those should not be considered. This question would come in the final paper.
Exactly. As you said very well, ICA always maintains its standard, right? So there's no repeated question that comes. You have to have 100% conceptual clarities to be able to clear the examinations. Yes. So Gokul, we wish you all the very best for your future journey, for your articleship. What exactly are you expecting from that? I'm sure you must be excited to get into the corporate world and experience audit practically.
Of course, I read all the books now, but I should actually see how it's implemented in the practical world. That would be more exciting. Since all the books, and now I'm reading all the books, I would see that actually how it is actually done, all the standards and auditing, how are they implemented in big corporates. Yes, I'm actually excited.
Precisely. And what's your plan for CA final, right? Is it also an AIR one that we can expect?
Of course, ma'am. Like I will try my best. Like I don't actually expect AIR once. I'll give my best. Let God decide what he must get.
I'm sure you would be successful in whatever you do in your life ahead. And we wish you all the best for your future journey, for your articleship, for your chartered accountancy preparation as well. And thank you so much for giving your valuable time and being part of KS Academy. We find it extremely privileged to have you. Thus, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.